People always used to tell me, do not go into programming because one little typo is going to drive you insane. This isn't exactly a typo, but this is a case where one single letter makes the difference between right code and wrong code. Can't believe it? My friend, you have got to work in C. I love that you made graphics for this. Actually, a high schooler? Oh my God, you're dude, what? I was trick-shotting in Call of Duty in high school. I cannot actually fathom that you are a freshman in high school. Fast, easy way to install and update AUR and non-AUR Arch Linux packages. I love the tagline. I immediately understand what we're looking at here. Woo! Hey, Archie. Is this really where we're gonna start? Long story short, you don't want to use stir compare because you can read past what you're supposed to be able to read. What I said here is a little bit imprecise, but I was fairly certain that this high schooler needed the advice anyway. This type of problem occurs with string functions that write relying on null terminated strings, not functions that read based on them. Don't worry, he was using those too, so the lesson still applies. You generally don't want to use the stir versions of things, stir compare. There are a bunch of these, but most of them have stern with an N that takes a maximum thing. All the difference is that you pass this maximum size so that you guarantee that you can't just keep reading and reading and reading and reading. And again, the odds that this is a problem in your system is probably low, but based on your casual use of it, I was guessing you weren't aware that this is a problem you can run into. All right, so what's the problem with these stir functions anyway? Why do we have to use stern if we're writing data? Here you can see a little code snippet that I've come up with to sort of demonstrate the process of what's happening here. So we start by making the copy buffer. And the copy buffer is pretty simple. All it's going to do is tell your computer, hey, look, I need some space. All right? It's like a bad relationship. We need some space. And as a result of that, we're going to put this little box onto our stack. When it's time to do this stir copy, all we're going to do is we're going to take the contents of string contents and we're going to plop it right into this box. Boop. And now inside the box, we can read hello. Now, there's a question we have to ask ourselves. C doesn't handle almost anything for us. How do we know how to stop copying data? This is the only bit of magic that C really tends to handle for us, okay? And it exists in this idea of null terminated strings. There is a special character that goes at the end of strings that indicates that they're done. And that's all well and good when we can trust everyone that's using our application, but that's really not the real world. So the important thing is that string contents here will always have this null character because we defined it in our code. But what if instead our function looked a little something like this? Here, we're going to get our data from a user. It doesn't really matter how, but we're going to take that user data input and we're going to copy it into this buffer. But what happens if the user didn't give us back a nice null terminated string? Stir copy is going to keep going and going and going and writing until it finds a null character. The problem is that where we're writing data to doesn't dynamically expand. We don't get to just keep writing and watch this box grow and grow and grow. C doesn't handle that for us. So where does all that extra data go? It goes down here. Your computer writes where your code is going to go right after the function completes immediately before the variables. Here we can see that it points to main. But what if I overwrote that? I could, technically speaking, call parts of your code that might be dangerous contextually. And that's the important thing, is that with stir copy, we do not know how much information we are guaranteed to copy. We can fix this super easily by just using stern copy instead. Stern copy guarantees that at most we will write this number of characters. And so because of that, we know that we will never overrun our copy buffer size. As a result, we know that we will always come back to main and we will not run into problems. Thank you so much to Remy in my Discord for bringing that project out. And if you want a project reviewed, the link's in the description down below.